Hi, I'm Corey.
Hi, I'm Tess.
Welcome to A Lovely Place.
We're so glad you've joined us as we invite Jesus into the midst of our lives, learning, and laughter.
We hope this podcast can encourage your heart and make you smile today.
Hello.
Friends.
How are you, my friend?
Good. One day I will feel like I know what I'm doing behind this microphone.
Right.
Welcome to our podcast. Here we're doing it.
Yes, we are. We are in Atomic Habits, which is a really good book. I just feel like I need some better habits in my life to make more progress on the reading.
Yes. James Clear wrote a lot of books and 10 million copies have been sold.
Wow. That's awesome.
That's the sticker on the front of my book.
It's really good. So
yes,
last episode, we talked about kind of the premise of the book, right? And the beginning. And so today we're kind of talking about the first law of Atomic Habits, which is make it obvious. So what stood out to you in this section?
Well, I feel like the point and call thing, I might have even referenced it last time because I just remember that from the last time.
Yeah.
But I was telling a client, in this book, they talk about saying what you need. Apparently, this verbal processor likes that a lot. So
yes.
I don't know if that means it's a new habit then, but I guess because I find myself doing it.
Oh, good. I feel like you've always kind of done that.
Yeah, so
even
maybe
with
it's
people
just
around.
Yeah, so maybe I feel like I'm even with people. Yeah, I need my water bottle. I got my keys. I got my kid. I'm just like, but I feel like maybe I'm a little more intentional, and that's the part I was thinking about. Kendra Adachi, lazy genius way, and her whatever the make your life easier for the next day.
The magic question or something?
I think so, yeah.
What can you do now that will make it easier later or something?
So Sunday mornings are like that. So I need to get ready for church Saturday night for sure.
Oh, yes.
Get that launch pad ready to go. Where is our stuff? And then it's like, okay, does everybody have their water bottle, Bible bags? What are we taking? And then I'm listing that off.
Yeah.
With the three of us. And most of the time I think they're helping and listening.
Yeah.
the two men I live with.
I really loved that point and call section too. So they were talking about that in Tokyo or Japan, right? In the subway system, that the subway operators or whatever have this way of doing things where they will look at something and say the speed is whatever, and then they'll say the brake is on, or and they'll just out loud say everything that they're seeing and checking. And they found that it reduces the amount of delays and accidents and all these other things. And they ended up implementing it, not even the point and call, but just the point, right? In the New York subway or something. And it reduced the accidents by 50% or something. But it made me laugh because the last time we were at Great Wolf Lodge, we were swimming and I was noticing around the wave pool that there's the lifeguards, and they have their little, it's like a floaty pole kind of a thing, I don't know, that they hold. And you can see them looking around the pool, and they point with it. And then they do this thing where they move around, and they're always looking and pointing. And I was like, what are they doing? But then Daniel told me, he was like, well, they have this program that they do, and it reduces the amount of drownings and things like that. And I was like, I think that's the same thing when we were reading about the pointing and calling.
Yeah.
And it's bringing awareness to what you're doing, because it's really easy if you're just looking at something to kind of zone out and not necessarily pay attention to what is happening. But if you're actually pointing, or in like what it said in the book, saying it out loud, it brings your awareness back
Yeah.
to it. So he says to do that with your habits. So I have not actually written down my habits yet, like he suggests.
What? You
But
haven't?
I need to get to that.
Yeah. And I think that information might even be on his website for anybody listening. Like there's some of those tools that you can do some homework, even if you don't have the book. We can find maybe that link. I think
Yeah.
that's mentioned because I
Yeah.
have wrote down some of them. And then, but then I was like getting hung up, like, I don't know what to add in between that into that routine, or like, I'm like, I don't know what,
Yeah.
maybe I'm not sure what my new habit needs to be.
What you want it to be. Yeah, and that's a
Yeah.
good question. Like
Yeah.
what new habits should I implement?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have just really been, I don't know, I feel like it's been coming at me from so many different directions, like the need for systems. And that's kind of what, what he talked about in the first section, like that if you want to meet a goal, look at your systems and your beliefs about yourself. And
Yeah.
so, um, just at like work, in my personal life, like my own life, in my life of the life of my kids, like with my husband, I'm like, systems, they are so important. And so lately, sometimes, like our middle kid, Jackson, will be like, oh, I forgot that, or I didn't do that thing. Oh, I'm so stupid. That's kind of like his go to. And I'm like, no, we just need a better system. Like, we don't
Yeah.
have a system in place for that. We need to make a system.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of obsessive about it lately and trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way to make that a system?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been setting all these alarms on my phone now. So, like, for everything, like for vitamins, for like
Mm.
school drop off, school pickup. Now we just are trying out today an alarm for cleaning up the house, like as a family routine. Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
we spend, once it goes off, we spend 10 minutes cleaning downstairs and then 5 minutes cleaning up in our rooms, to just try to stay on top of some things. But the alarms help me, and I'm disciplining myself so that I don't turn them off until I've actually done the thing. Like, so I might snooze it for a couple minutes, but
Oh, okay.
then it comes back up and I'm like, okay, I have to do this thing and then I
Mm-hmm.
can turn it off. And it seems to be helping me.
Well,
I'm
that's good.
not forgetting as many things, which feels nice because I don't like feeling like I'm forgetful, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Well, and then they're being intentional because you have to set up the alarm so you know what you need to accomplish. So that's a good thing because that's what I wrote down. Something you can only make a behavior change if you have awareness of
yes.
what is happening. So I like that because I feel like reading this book again, it's like, oh yeah, I'm learning a bunch of new tools and I can change things. And then
Mhm.
the setting up the environment I think was also helpful, like so like a timer makes a cue, right? You hear it and it's like, oh yeah, I need to
Yes.
do this now. Like so that's a good way to use some technology in that cue process of like, okay, we do this and we do that.
Yes.
Like,
Yes, that's good. Yeah.
yeah. And I feel like a while ago I was like, sometimes I would get annoyed to wash my face and brush my teeth and stuff later. But it was like, well, why can't I just do that while Riker's doing it? We're just all getting ready for bed. So then it's like we're not doing something. Or if I just do it then, I'm like, okay, now I'm all ready for bed. Not that I have to go to bed at the same time Riker does,
Right.
but I'm already ready. And then tonight
Yes.
I was asking him, I said, well, did you floss your teeth? And he's like, no. And I'm like, when do you think you're going to remember that? Because every night I say, did you brush? But then I was thinking, oh, and maybe we need a verbal cue of brush and floss your teeth. Like just like,
Yes.
let's get that in there. So we're like, because I think brush my teeth and it includes that at
Right.
nighttime. Like not nighttime, I'm flossing, I'm doing it all together.
Yeah.
But so if we have a toothbrushing party, Riker and I, then I'm doing it again. So
Yeah.
revisiting that oral hygiene
Right. Well, one
habit.
thing
Yeah.
One thing I've been thinking about with with him talking about changing the environment, um, I've also been and the making it obvious. I've also been thinking about making more signs for our house. Like,
Mm.
I don't, I don't want it. I don't always like the look of having like a sign somewhere. I think it can kind of look tacky. So decor wise, I'm like, I don't know. But I think it would really help. It makes me think of like, when you go to the bathroom at like a restaurant or something and it has like that sign, like employees must wash their hands, and then it
Mm-hmm.
gives you the instructions. And I'm like, okay, so no one can say, I didn't know how to wash my hands. Like,
Right.
it's there.
Yeah.
There are directions. And I'm thinking, like, for the front door, like a sign that's like, do you have your backpack? Do you have
Mm-hmm.
your shoes? Like, so there's more visual reminders, and I'm not having to give as many verbal reminders, which just
Yeah.
annoy me. And I'm sure they annoy everyone else too.
Yeah.
So it's like, if there's a sign, just you look at the sign, make
Yeah.
sure you have what
It's
you
like
need, and then
that
we're good.
checklist, your checklist sign, like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yes. So I want to do that soon, to make signs with pictures so Rihanna can, even though she can't read, she can still see like, oh, these are the things that I need
Right.
before I
Right.
leave the house. Because it feels like it's often those transition times, like
Mm-hmm.
bedtime or getting ready for school or coming home from school. Like, those are all those high stress moments. And I'm like, okay, how can we make those? What's a system we can have that makes them less stressful?
Yeah. And what's
I will go
something
for that.
small you can change, right? Because that's the whole point
Right.
of atomic habits. Teeny tiny. What do, like,
Yes.
backing it up even farther than I think the lazy genius, right? Because you're going tiny.
Yes. Yes. So true.
Atomic, shall we say? Oh
Yes.
man. Yeah. Well, and then I wonder if that could be like an environmental cues too. Like if there was a wherever the place for the backpack or the whatever they need to be leaving, if that was I don't know.
Yes. I
That's
know.
just
I've been
yeah.
thinking through that, like, those kind of like those mudroom, like,
Mm-hmm.
bench hanger. I'm like, okay, I could get one of those. I am just I'm wondering if I'm a is it a butterfly? The organizational
Oh, okay.
style?
Uh-huh.
No. Maybe it's the ladybug, the closed ones. Or maybe I'm the bumblebee or whatever. I don't know.
Maybe we need to take the quiz again.
There are some times where I like things being out where I can see them, but it's only
Yeah.
if they're pretty. If it
Right.
looks messy, I don't want it to be out.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'm worried that if I get one of those like cubby things where the kids can like put
Mm-hmm.
their shoes and then hang their backpack and stuff, that it will just look like a disaster. And I'll be
Yeah.
like, nope, just throw it in a closet. Like,
Right.
get it
Right.
out of my sight.
Right. But
But
maybe if it's
yeah,
helping the kids get what they need, then maybe
then maybe it
that's
would make up for
better.
it.
I don't know.
Who knows? We could
Yeah.
always try it.
I think it was on Kendra's podcast. She was doing a shout out to somebody. I think that was making like or maybe she even did it. Maybe it was her. Anyways, whoever it was made a backpack place that wasn't necessarily Pinterest beautiful, but it was very functional for them. Maybe she even had it in her garage. I don't know. Then you could close
Yeah,
the garage door, but
that's
and
true.
leave from the garage. Then you're not walking by it in your front door. Here we are, real time
Right?
figuring this
That
out.
sounds like a good
Because
idea.
who doesn't need a launch pad, right? From getting out of the house.
And then yucky wet shoes would go in the garage and they wouldn't
Yeah,
come. This sounds like a really good idea.
I think
Okay.
so. Because then it's like you're hiding it, right? And then it's starting small. You already have a garage, right? Where it's not like we're
Yes.
making up a new space. And then
Yes.
I liked in the Atomic Habits book, it was talking about creating a new environment for yourself. Like they were even saying if you need to go to a different grocery store to buy different food or
Yes.
go to a different coffee shop to do something else so that everything around you is just different. And I remember
Yeah.
the chiropractor I would see in Vancouver, he would move things around just to upset everyone. Not upset everyone, but just make it a different environment. Like,
Yeah.
because it was like, oh, where is this going to be now? And then it's like, oh, it's over here. And it wasn't really that far because it's still in the confines of the office building, right? Like, but it was
Right.
just enough changes that it would cue your brain to go, wait, what am I doing again? So
Yeah.
I liked that.
Yes. I
Just
think that's
feeling
good.
fresh. Yeah.
Yes. I noticed that like when I switched things around in my bedroom and moved some stuff, then it was easier
Hmm.
for me to want to keep it clean
Yeah.
and easier for me to sleep for some reason. Like
Mm.
just the change of like, okay, I think this would go better here, that there, like moving little things around and being like, oh, now I feel
It feels
it's like
nice.
maybe
Yeah.
Zen is actually a thing. I don't know, or feng shui or whatever, like the feel of the room.
Yeah. Well, and if it's decluttered and organized, that would feel nice.
Yes.
Whatever word that is called.
Right.
Less cortisol, better sleep. Yes.
Yes. Right?
Yeah. Well, and
So
then that
true.
I like the other picture, and this is on chapter 6. Motivation is overrated. The environment often matters more. And that was when they talked about that study of the cafeteria and they were wanting to increase water
Yes. I thought that
sales.
story was good.
And they just put, what is this picture? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 10 different places in this cafeteria you could find a bottle of water instead of 2 that was before. And it
Yeah.
increased, let's see.
It decreased soda drinking, right? And
Yeah.
it increased water.
Mm-hmm. Just
Yeah.
by only a visual cue, no words, no
Right?
signs, nothing. I just thought that
Isn't
was
that
so
incredible?
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. He says the truth, however, is that many of the actions we take each day are shaped not by purposeful drive and choice, but by the most obvious option.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
it's just crazy how much he's talking that, we are so consumed by like what we see. It says some experts estimate that half of the brain's resources are used on vision.
Mm.
It's just, yeah, I was like, that's so crazy. And it just makes me think how important our environment is. And that, I mean, that comes back to the clutter thing again, too. Like Daniel and I were talking the other night, and I was like, when there's stuff all over the house, I just like walk in and immediately I'm like, I'm overwhelmed. Like, and I
Yeah.
haven't even done anything yet.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I'm just standing here and I'm overwhelmed. Like, this is too much. So now we're trying to come up with some systems to keep on top of it a little bit better.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that just was making me think of that. This is a different verse than we talked about, but Colossians 3:2 says, set your minds on things above, which that I thought it was talking about adding your eyes. Set your eyes on. Anyways, I was just thinking like, hey, where are we putting our attention, right? Like
yeah.
what's happening, and then another shout out to Dawn the Minimal Mom and her all of her videos that have impacted my life so much, of just the stuff being out of the way, and then if there's less stuff, then there's less stuff to put away and less stuff to stare at. And I feel like in this
Yes.
transition time at our house, we had a water leak. And so it's been going on for a long time, of because we had to wait for different people and the different steps, and it would take a week to book things and blah blah blah. So today they finally were painting and we were able to put some things back together and get that started, and it just feels nice to not have so many things without a home that they're living in, like that homeless clutter, I think she says, or maybe that's the
Yes.
clutter bug or one of her other people. Anyways, I was trying to find homes for things the other day, and then I think it's Dana K. White that says, if you pick up something, just put it where you immediately think it should go. Like, so then that's where you would find it again later.
Yeah.
So I was just like, what if I just, like, maybe this is the habit, like that 5-minute cleanup thing or something, like just reset the table in the dining room
Yeah.
Like make it a part of the kitchen with the dishes, because I feel like that's a routine. Like get the dishes done all the way before bedtime. Like it's like get Riker to bed, wash our teeth, brush our face, brush our There are some beauty techniques that are brushing your face, but that's not what I'm talking about. Anyway, so perhaps I need to add to the dishes, let's clean the table off.
Yeah, there you go. And that goes along with the habit stacking that he was talking about, right? So
thanks for helping me, friends.
You have a habit that you already do, like it's already in place. It's something you're already doing, and you stack a different habit onto it. So for you, it would be like every time I wash the dishes, I clean the table, you know?
Wow.
And then
that would be a
easier.
game changer. Yeah.
Yes. Well, and I was watching this video the other day that was talking about like the, habits of the most highly organized people or whatever. And they were saying like organized people, they don't like wait and have like a day that they organize or that they clean or that they tidy. It's like they're just doing it in the midst of like what they're doing. Like, and I do that at work. Like at work, it's like at the end of my day, I just clean up my desk and it's like I put everything away before I leave. And then it's like, oh, that feels nice. And then it feels nice when I come in, unless someone has put a bunch of stuff on my desk. But, leaving feels like, okay, like I've closed the day and it's done. But at home, I haven't quite figured out
you never
what is the day. That? Yeah. So I'm like,
the day keeps going and going and going.
Right? Like what habits can I build in here? So it's like, okay. But I want to systematize things.
I was laughing, friends, while Tess was saying that, like, yeah. How many times have we heard this, right? But it's true. But then I guess why we're laughing though too is it's a common, what would it be called? A situation, an issue. Yeah. Common experience.
Yes.
Yes.
Because I always think, oh, I can just clean up on Monday or or a day I have off or whatever. And then it's like, but then I get crazy because it's just crazy until I get to that point. And then it's like so much cleaning, like frenzy cleaning. So it's like not a good sustainable thing.
I like your 5-minute cleaning thing with the timer. Like that's awesome. Like,
yes,
it's amazing what you can do in 5 minutes.
Right. And then we decided it would just be a happy song that comes on that we all like. And so when it came on today, I was like, why is that playing? And then I was like, oh, that's why. I completely forgot about that. I had set the alarm.
Oh, so like the alarm makes the song go on?
Yeah, it plays the Friends Are Family from the Lego Batman movie. So that turned on and we were like, okay, we're motivated. Let's go clean up,
Nice.
The kids, I'm sure they will get more into the habit, but I think I have to lead it. It's like I'm realizing that. Dang it, I'm the leader of our home. Like, I mean, Daniel is too, obviously, but a lot of times the kids take cues from me and I'm like, okay, I need to be better at leading myself so that I'm leading them better.
I like that though, with the song being a part of the cue, not just like an alarm, like that would annoy me.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was fun. We just let it play as we cleaned, and it was like, okay, we're washing the table, we're like picking things up, and then I folded some laundry in Rihanna's room, and then at that point, I'm like motivated to keep going, you know,
because you've had that like, yes, this feels good.
Yeah.
So
I hope that I can maintain it. I was just reading somewhere the other day, someone was talking about their parents always coming home with like a new, like, okay, and we're going to do this and we're going to go to bed at 8:00 every night. And then it would like die out after like 2 days. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to come into it with a big speech. Like, we need to clean the house more, I was like, we're just going to do it. Like, I'm just going to do it and we'll see what happens.
You can have the meeting with me
with myself.
Or yourself in your closet. Like, this is what we're going to do. We can do it.
Yes.
Riker's been listening to Eye of the Tiger, so maybe that would be a
yeah.
Get some
That's a
oldies in there.
motivating
Yeah.
song, right? I love it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So many things. And I was trying to think, I thought there was something. Oh, just the, and we're making a new habit. If you get really specific, I will blank at this time in this location, and how that dramatically increased your success rate of doing something new. And I was just like, maybe that's my problem, that I haven't gotten that specific.
Yeah.
With my, yeah. It's like, oh, okay.
That
Because then I
resonates
think
with
it's
me.
like, then I think it's like, oh, I'm really deciding to do this now. And this is my action step. And, but shouldn't it be scary? Because it's like, I'm the one telling me what I'm going to be doing. It's not like,
and it's a good thing. But for some reason, it's like, oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah. But I think that reminds me, like when I was working with that health coach before, and she was like, these are your goals, they're not my goals for you. And I was like, oh, like I was trying to please this idea of myself that hasn't been realized yet. And she was like, no, we just make it. And then she was like, let's make it really small. And I was like, oh, that's like that Atomic Habit book. Oh, so then it was like,
this before.
Lord, I'm hearing you again. Like, but I just so we can make, I will pick up one thing off the table at 8:00 in the kitchen, like the tiniest goal or habit is atomic, right? One thing off the table at 8:00 in the kitchen.
There you go.
Now we're playing Clue.
I know, it sounds just like Clue.
All right, I'm going to write it down.
I love, I keep thinking what he talked about in the first section, that every decision that you make, like if you're like, I want to be a reader, so I'm going to read one chapter a day, and every time you do, it reinforces that belief that I am a reader because I am doing this. And it makes me think of Duolingo, where it's like an app where you learn another language. And I've been using it since I went to Guatemala last year, because I want to be more, I won't say fluent because I'm not fluent, but more able to have conversations in Spanish when I'm in Guatemala this year. And so I have, and it's really cool on the app. It's like they celebrate every day that you have, and then you get streaks where it's like, oh, you've been going for this many days. But I was hearing someone talk about the research that like that kind of a program or a system actually helps you to be motivated. So it's like, it reminds you that you've been doing it for this many days. And sometimes you mess up and you miss it, and it gives you grace. It's like, okay, we're going to freeze your streak. You'll come back tomorrow and you'll still be at the same amount of days, But just how then now every night I'm like, oh, I got to do my Spanish lesson. Like, and it's not like a bad thing. It's like, but I don't want to break my streak, because I'm proud of myself that I've been going on it for this long, And so I don't know. I love that. That's like a hack we can work with, with our brains. Like, or, so he was talking about, even if you just write it down, like every day that you do the thing that you said you wanted to do, that you set up, it helps to build that, oh yeah, I can do that. I am doing that. Yeah. And it helps to maintain the success. So
it's like those bullet journal videos I like to watch, but I haven't translated it into the bullet journal like that. But the habit trackers, right? Is what I was thinking of. And I'm like, oh, their art is really pretty and mine is not. Like, anyway, that's a whole other thing. But like, I was wondering, like, do you have a place you sit or you stand, or where are you doing this Spanish lesson?
I'm usually like in front of my mirror in my bathroom, because I'm getting ready. I do it when I'm like getting ready for bed. So,
okay. So it's
most of the time.
Part of that routine.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You've stacked the habit.
Yeah, apparently.
Well, now you can write down that when you know, like that's a cool thing. Then next week or whenever we record again.
Yes.
Because that is also a habit I would like to get back into.
I know. It's been really hard.
Yeah.
I think it's because it's so irregular. We need to make it more regular somehow.
What is our atomic thing? Record today. Check.
Yes.
Thanks for listening, friends.
Yes. Well, do you want to read our verse for the day,
I sure
Corey?
do. I put it on. Here it is. So it's Ephesians 4, and it's talking about unity in Christ, right? It's the whole big chapter, and then our old self and our new self. So we're jumping in verse 20. And that says, that, however, is not the way of life you learned when you heard about Christ and were taught in him accordance with the truth that is in Jesus. You were taught with regard to your former way of life to put off your old self, which is being corrupted by its deceitful desires, and to be made new in the attitude of your minds, and to put on the new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness. And I love that God knows how our minds work. And I just love this language around the attitude of our mind, and then that putting on our new self. Like, I feel like this atomic habits is being intentional with what you're putting on your schedule or putting in your schedule.
Yeah.
Jesus is encouraging, or Paul, I guess, writing Corinthians, encouraging us to be intentional with what we're thinking about.
Yeah. I think it just reminds me, like, you know, you can't go where you want. You can't get to where you want to go if you're just drifting or coasting. That we have to be intentional, and, you know, it's natural to just do nothing like that.
Yeah.
That is kind of the way that we go naturally. But in order to live a life worthy and a life worth living, we have to be intentional and make choices that require intention. So,
yeah. Well, and then Jesus is helping us be a new life. Like, we're not, we get to not be like we were. Like, so that pain and the shame and that those identities, we get to put them away. Like, we get to be new in Jesus.
Yes.
And he helps
us.
That's a huge thing right there, but.
Amen. Yes.
Yeah.
So good. So good.
So small changes, friends. Teeny tiny atomic habits.
Yes. And
write down the time and where you're going to do it, like you're playing Clue.
Yep. And make changes to your environment. Set alarms. That's helping me. And just self-awareness. Bringing awareness to what you're doing. Ooh. That's the first step. All right. Well, thank you, friend.
Yes, thank you, friend.
All right.
I like recording.
Yes.
We'll do it again.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.